Welcome to Analytics Nexus. Thank you for joining us for Enrique J. Gonzales' presentation, Digital Analytics, the Data Lake of Your Anonymous Audience. Enrique J. Gonzales is a pioneer in digital analytics, working with the tool Adobe Analytics since it was called Superstats, running the first A/B test at USA Today, and launching digital analytics efforts at NPR and AARP. Now at the American Association for the Advancement of Science, he works to drive the goals of the world's largest scientific society and its world-renowned journals.
Hi, my name is Enrique Gonzales and I work at AAAS, the American Association for the Advancement of Science. We produce the world-renowned journals Science and 5 other titles. I've worked in digital analytics for a while now. I've been using Adobe Analytics since the product was called Superstats. I know that was a while ago. Over the years, I've pioneered digital analytics efforts at USA Today, NPR, and AARP. I'm very humbled by the opportunity to present here today and would like to thank the Nexus conference organizers for inviting me to take part. In my career, I've worked with many stakeholders trying to drive a variety of digital goals. It's made me realize the role of digital analytics is both small and large. One thing I've noticed is that when stakeholders ask for analytics, they often make assumptions about what will answer a business question. Too often, this is too narrowly defined. Sometimes the user simply wants to check a pre-existing notion, also known as confirmation bias. It's your job as a digital analyst to guide them to ask the right questions and provide them the best answers with the right amount of context. To be ready to do that, you need the right data set. As a digital analyst, you will see all the requests coming in for tracking and reporting needs. The incremental accumulation of all these tasks, the calculus of it all, adds up to a data set that covers the whole of your digital experience. Digital analytics is first about building that data set that can be used to answer not only narrow technical questions, but broad strategic ones as well. Let's start here, the business question. Every organization is trying to do better at meeting its goals. Every organization is trying to meet customer needs, optimize for return on investment, and more. It's the eternal challenge. To make those decisions, every organization is looking at its most abundant resource, data, and how to leverage it to achieve organizational goals. I'm sure we can all agree on this. Data is just growing as a resource. But every organization I've worked for is faced with a common problem: silos of business uses, silos of departments, and silos of data. The disparate parts aren't talking to each other, and neither is the data. The fix, of course, is to bring all the silos together: customer relationship management, CRM data, email data, and other silo data sets. Anything with a common ID that can be stitched together. Note that common identifier tends to be a customer identifier, an email address, mailing address, or something related to a person. And once you've got all that stitching done, suddenly you have a data lake. According to Amazon, a data lake is a centralized repository that allows you to store all your structured and unstructured data at any scale. The topic of data lakes has really taken off since 2014, as you can see in this Google search trends. The chart covers dates back to 2004, but 2014 is the point where it starts taking off. So what do we forget? You have your data lake based on all your data. Most organizations have data sets about customers only once they've purchased or provided some information about themselves. So when they go to build a data lake, they look first and foremost to those records. What does that leave out? You don't know most of your users. Even in organizations that require a customer to identify themselves, there are anonymous users. Even with products designed to be used only after a customer logs in, there are anonymous users. For firms that do not have a good reason to authenticate, almost all of their audience is anonymous. For content companies such as news organizations, I've seen about 90% unknown or anonymous. So connecting the data sets of only known users focuses all your analysis only on the attributes of known users. That's great if almost all your customers are users or unknown, but as we said before, that's never the case. The end result, of course, is bias in your data set that favors known users or known customers. Any analysis may be skewed toward the interests, likes, or preferences of those known users. Think of it like the echo chamber of your Facebook feed. Marketers and other business stakeholders need to know the whole journey. That starts with awareness of an organization's offerings. It continues with his or her consideration and following through the ultimate decision to engage or not. Every customer journey starts out as anonymous. So where do you go to find those anonymous users? Many unusers take those first steps on our digital properties. Oddly enough, there we face the same issue we experience with known user data, silos. One brand may have many digital touch points managed by as many business stakeholders. We've got the silo problem again. Again, the fix is the same, stitching it all together. The challenge this time is to maintain an identifier across all those digital properties. That's especially hard for completely anonymous users, and it's only getting harder. But it's also difficult when users do some kind of identification. Identifiers are a tricky mess. Users can have multiple identifiers. We face this issue as well. We have some customer IDs for paid members and unpaid free subscriptions, as well as identifiers from email recipients. It's a pretty common problem. Some users can have identities that are kind of a parent-child relationship where there's a macro group and an individual identifier. Again, we face this issue too in my organization where users can authenticate via federations, an institution, or they can be individuals. Again, this is a common situation. Also, users may identify themselves very late in the customer journey. So the requirement to authenticate could happen very late in their experience. So again, you need to stitch all this together in that one experience. And of course, users can share devices. In developing countries or this can be very common when the main source of internet access is an internet cafe. We also face this issue because some of our users get access to our content via university, colleges, and libraries. So obviously they will share devices there. And the big issue for anonymous users is people who never log in, who never identify. So the digital analyst has to figure out how to match all this stuff together. Maintaining the quote unquote identity of anonymous users is hard from a technical standpoint and getting harder with the constant changes in the tracking ability of browsers. It's also hard from a legal standpoint, as you know about Europe's General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, and the new California Consumer Privacy Act, CCPA, among all the pending legal changes across the country and around the world. So here's a few things you can do. You'll want to understand how and where privacy settings are set so you can factor that into any analysis. You'll get some bias towards those who are trackable, so you'll need to understand that bias, but you'll still need to get all the privacy things right. You've got to make sure that happens because you are tracking anonymous users. Limit domains. Cross-domain tracking is getting harder and harder by the second. If you can get your brand to run under one root domain, that's the best situation. Remember, subdomains can be your friend. It's a lot easier to track anonymous audiences between subdomain 1 and subdomain 2 of the same root domain than any traffic between two different root domains. Just use HTTPS. You'll get better referral data, which will help you understand your anonymous audience. So here's some takeaways. You need to follow the entire customer journey. If you're focusing only on the folks that have already chosen you and have given you money, then you're going to miss out on the potential folks that have considered you but not followed through. And to understand, you want to convert more of those folks, of course. You have to be vigilant about tracking issues. This is a constantly evolving, even erratic landscape between the legal environment and the technical environment. You have to be vigilant. You will need to discern bias from a technical, legal, and your data set choices. So that's a constant thing, to be aware of how these various tracking issues, legal, technical, what's trackable, what's not trackable, have an impact on your data set. So when you do go to do analysis, you understand how they have an impact on your recommendations, your learnings. And of course, you need to unite the analysts and the marketers and the IT folks to get all of this tracking accomplished and to understand what this data set's all about to influence and drive your organization's goals. And if you focus on the goals, you should be able to help unite those various departments and all the silos, because ultimately your organization is designed to accomplish something. And if you're doing that and you get all this right, you'll be able to leverage this anonymous data to drive your organization forward. Tracking all the customer-facing pieces of your digital brand inadvertently builds your analytics data set into a data lake of your anonymous users. But it has to be done right. You've got to get all these pieces together. You got to get all these stakeholders together, and they need to understand how it fits following the customer journey and what customers are looking for. Because in that, you'll find the threads of insight into how to convert those anonymous users to your business goals. Thank you so much for following me through this presentation. I hope this was valuable to you. If you have any questions, just reach out to me on Twitter, tweet at me, and I'd be glad to follow up. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thanks so much for watching this presentation. Join us on the Analytics Nexus Slack to talk with our presenters about this topic and more.